This is part 3 of a 6-part masterclass series on preserving the harvest from your garden. If you're like most gardeners, you think about preservation when your counters are overflowing with tomatoes and zucchini. But successful food gardeners think differently. They see preservation as the foundation of growing vegetables, not an afterthought. Planning your preservation goals before planting your first seed helps you choose the right varieties for your favorite preservation methods, grow appropriate quantities so you're not overwhelmed or disappointed, space out your harvests for manageable processing sessions, and identify crops you can store without processing at all. Throughout this series, you'll learn how this foundation-first approach transforms both your garden and your pantry. We're excited to share this information with you and help you take another step toward true self-sufficiency and food security for your family. Let's get started.
So here's what we're going to cover for the next 45 minutes or so. So secret number 1, how to save 40% on your grocery bill each year. How cool is that? Secret number 2, in just 6 weeks, your pantry could be stocked year-round with fresh, healthy meal options. Just 6 weeks. Secret number 3, having a harvest preservation system not only helps you save time and energy preparing food year-round, but it allows you to be creative, putting together unusual ingredients for delicious and unexpected meals in minutes. And I'm going to show you the secret to my Harvest into Meals system. Okay, so secret number 1, how to save 40% on your grocery bill each year. All right, so back to the day before I had a garden, I would go to the farmer's market on Saturday mornings. I would grab all my groceries for the week. I would buy all of this amazing, gorgeous produce, and I would cook all week long with this gorgeous, fresh food. And then Saturday morning would come around and I would have this dilemma. There would still be fresh food in my fridge from last week. And once I started gardening, I would oftentimes have the same problem too. There'd be more fresh food on my plants ready for harvest, but I still had fresh food in my fridge. And sometimes it was just a little bit of food, but sometimes it was a lot of food. And sometimes I would forget about something and it would wilt or go bad. And you know what? This is so typical. How many times have you opened up your refrigerator only to find that something has gone bad, or your refrigerator, there's something at the bottom of your drawer, and maybe it's something you grew in your garden that you spent time and energy cultivating, and now it's wilting. It is the worst feeling in the world. It makes you feel like all that time and energy was totally wasted. It's so easy for food to get lost in the process and not reach your plate. On average, you're not alone. On average, Americans throw away 40% of their food every year. And I don't know how much of that is produce, but that's a lot of food, right? It's a lot of groceries going to waste. And we all see this happen to a certain amount in our home. It's totally normal. So I noticed this problem of always something at the bottom of my fridge that I would forget about because there was so much awesome food at the market I wanted to buy every week. And I thought to myself, what if I simply buy 40% less at the market? It seemed like a reasonable idea, right? But the strangest thing happened. Somehow I had the exact same problem the next week. Smaller percentage of food left over, but still, there was food left over in the bottom of my fridge again. So what's going on here? And I realized I've been programmed by my mom to always have a stocked fridge just in case anything happened. We are wired to never have an empty fridge because an empty fridge is scary, and it makes sense psychologically. We want to know that there is food when we need it, right? It's our basic security. It's how we feel safe in this world. And here's the other thing. We're also wired to go for the best looking produce when we cook. So things that are a little bit going bad keep getting left behind until they wilt and die. So I decided to do something drastic. I vowed to completely empty my fridge every week, no matter what. Literally pull everything that's perishable out, put it on the table so I could decide what to do with it. And I realized that if I simply preserved those things that were left behind, it's not like I had an empty fridge at all, because I was just moving it from the fridge where it's liable to go bad to a storage method where it's going to last longer, where I can preserve it and store it. I can pull it out whenever I need to. So I started preserving just a little bit of food each week. not just to alleviate the guilt of throwing the food away, but to save 40% on my grocery bill. I mean, the guilt is one thing, but saving money on the grocery bill, that's cool too, right? So one of the reasons that people never get started preserving the harvest is that they think they need large batches to make it worthwhile. Do you have that image in your head of somebody standing over a stove making giant batches? It's just not true. You don't have to be drowning in produce to start preserving the harvest. So I get it. A lot of people think it's not worthwhile to save a couple of ingredients here or there. Is it really worthwhile to save these wilted greens? Or people think they need every ingredient in the recipe to grow in at the exact same time in their garden in order to make that recipe. And it's simply not true. It just makes it harder to feel that way. And I think this happens because when people think about preserving the harvest, they first think about canning, like I did with my pasta sauce. It makes the most sense in these large batches. And, if you're going to take all that time to set up the pot and the canning and heat up your kitchen, big batches, they do make a lot of sense. And that's when canning does make a lot of sense. That's where I started with pasta sauce and with fruit cups, right? But here's the thing. There are 5 more types of simple food preservation that don't require large batches. And frankly, when you're canning, you want the freshest ingredients. So that's not the best method for the things that are left over and older at the bottom of your fridge. So canning isn't a good option for those things that are left over. It's not going to save you that 40% on your groceries. I have a couple tricks up my sleeve for the things that typically get left over at the bottom of the fridge. So one of the first things I did was start dehydrating any greens that started to wilt so that I could enjoy fresh greens in the new week. And then I could accumulate powdered greens that I would take with me wherever I went on vacation, on a road trip these days, whenever I needed fresh food on the go, whenever I went out for the day, a picnic, and I wanted some fresh greens at the picnic. So I have a dehydrator and it's easily accessible. I can just pop those greens in anytime, set the timer, and walk away. And when they're done, I simply take them out and then I grind them into a powder that I can take with me on the go. So imagine all of those B vitamins when you're on the road, you can't find a restaurant with healthy options. And this is how you can get a lot of healthy food to take with you wherever you go. And if you have a bit more time, you can also make chips with those greens. These are my vegan nacho style kale chips, which are a crowd pleaser for all ages. They disappear fast. No more wasted greens. These will disappear fast. And there are also vegetables, and I'll say this about the green chips. They take a little bit of extra time because you got to mix up a batch, but totally worth it for those things that are going bad at the bottom of the fridge. And then the other thing for things that are going bad at the bottom of your fridge, there are a couple vegetables that you can simply chop and freeze. All right, so 2 vegetables that you can simply chop and freeze. One you might not have in your fridge. You might actually have outside your fridge, but they can go bad. Onions and green peppers. So green peppers in your fridge, if they're starting to look a little bad, chop them up and freeze them. And these are 2 vegetables that simply chop and freeze. You don't have to do anything in the meantime. Another shortcut is, let's say you have tomatoes coming in from the garden and you know you're going to do a big canning project at some point, but you don't want to do one yet. What you can do is you can freeze your tomatoes whole and then wait for more tomatoes to come in to can all of them at once. So those are a couple of things that you can just freeze. The reason why you can just freeze your tomatoes is that they're mostly water. And so, also you're going to make them into a sauce and they're going to be mushy. So texture doesn't matter. So the reason why you can't necessarily freeze all of your vegetables, can't just like throw them in the freezer and freeze them, there is a process that vegetables go through. So when you harvest your vegetables, the thing that you need to know about all your vegetables is that when you cut them off the plant, they're still alive, even after you harvest them. And so you can't just simply put them in the freezer, because when they're still alive, there's enzymes that are active in that food. And if you simply put it in the freezer, that leads to a deterioration of the food, and it's going to break down the flavor and the texture. This isn't true of your tomatoes, of your peppers, and of your onions, but it is true of all your other vegetables. All right. So that's why you don't want to simply freeze everything. But what you can do is you can quickly blanch them and then freeze them. Blanching is simply a process where you stick them in a hot water bath for a short amount of time, and every vegetable has a different blanching time, and then that takes out that enzymatic reaction, and then you pop it in the freezer and you're all good. And quick pickling is one of my favorite ways to take advantage of that 40% that gets left over in the bottom of your fridge, especially if you end up with a lot of zucchini. Zucchini make really good pickles. They stay really crunchy and they're really delicious. So quick pickling is another awesome way to transform whatever's left at the bottom of your fridge into something delicious. You can make quick pickles in any size container. All you need are your veggies, some herbs, and some fun spices. And so basically you're just mixing a quick brine up on a stove. You heat up 1 part vinegar, 1 part water, and then you pour them into jars over all of your different ingredients. Now, you only have to try one of these preservation techniques at a time. I just threw a lot of stuff at you. I threw canning, dehydrating, freezing, and quick pickling at you, right? We've talked about 4 different techniques. When you're getting started, keep it simple and get started with one technique. Otherwise, it could be overwhelming if you try to do everything all at once, all right? So master one technique, see how you like it, move on to something new. I recommend a technique a week, and then try the next technique and see what you think of that one. And remember, you really don't have to try everything all at once. You can, I just don't recommend it because what happens is when you try it all at once, what happens is that you overload yourself on it and then it's no longer fun. You don't want to go back and try it again. So you want to dole out the fun in little increments, right? All right, so what do you guys think? Could you save 40% on your grocery bill? Do you think you could use some of these opportunities to preserve a little bit of food each week? You don't have to preserve big batches all the time. Do you think you could preserve a little bit? Do you think you could dry a couple powders? Do you think you could make a couple quick pickles? Do you think you could freeze a couple things for later? Whatever's left over in the bottom of your fridge. Because guess what? We all do this. We're wired to always leave food in the fridge just in case. And so here is the thing. Do something daring. Put it all out each week on your table. Empty your fridge. And I want you to think about preserving just a little bit each week. You're simply moving your storage from your fridge to your shelves, to your freezer, or to quick pickles, so you can enjoy it later. It's still there. That's the cool part. It's still there, but if you leave it in the bottom of your fridge, it's going to go bad, and it's going to go to waste, and you're going to lose it. All right? So this is all about saving that 40%.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. And for more simple and practical gardening tips, subscribe to Grow Your Own Vegetables. For more tips and updates, visit gyov.org and join our growing community.